Whenever a wallet is looking for access, adding Stellar is kind of like a go-to, and then suddenly you realize, oh, there's all these other great things that are happening in this ecosystem that I can tap into now that I'm part of it.
So this was just dropped by the stellar.org handle on X. We'll get back to the video because there's some interesting stuff in there. But in today's video, I do want to share an update on Stellar Lumens. We'll take, it'll be heavily focused on price action. Altcoins have been hit pretty hard by Bitcoin's dominance continuing to rise, but will the tides turn? We'll talk about dominance, and we'll give an update on what's happening with Stellar. And again, we'll get back to this video in a second, and it does go on, and I didn't show you the beginning of it, but very interesting stuff we'll talk about. So make sure to like the video, and if you like XLM content, we have an entire XLM playlist. We'll have an updated price prediction coming to you next week. We did a price prediction going back to the week of Christmas of 2024. That video, I believe, had over 25 to 30,000 views. We're going to do an updated one. Obviously, 6 months removed. Some things have changed. So make sure you subscribe to the channel, have your notification bell on so you can be notified when that video goes live. It'll be a full breakdown, exactly how I did it back in December, obviously with a twist and new info. This is Stellar Dominance, and it's been completely falling off a cliff. It reached a high. I'll drop a flag here. Reached a high of around 57% dominance going back to November of 2024. That's when XLM ran from around 9 cents to over 60 cents. And since then, from the peak to current, we've dropped 62% in dominance, sitting at 0.22%. Now, there's a lot of things in the pipeline that can send this dominance chart back up and to the right. And I think the big one here, my friends, is going to be the Genius bill. You heard, actually, I don't know. Did he talk about privacy? They talk about privacy in the video I showed you earlier. And the idea was, you're like, okay, XLM does this. Now you're in the ecosystem. Like, oh, crap, it does this, it does this, it does this. So we'll talk about that as well. You take a look at XLM price action. This is on the weekly. XLM, it was a flag, and the flag is gone. Why is the flag gone? Well, I'll just draw a fib and show you. Anytime you're talking about a bull flag, you do not, well, at least how I measure mine, you do not want to go below that 50% Fibonacci retracement threshold, which we did back on the beginning of the year. And so this has, in fact, turned into more of a, I'll get rid of the fib, this turned into more of a falling wedge, falling channel, which we've broken out of. But we keep coming back and retesting this trend line. We had it on a wick, and XLM actually performed quite well. Went from around 21.5 cents to a local high of 25 cents even. And it looks like we're trending down. Now, this might be a scenario where price just kind of dwindles and continues to tap these areas. And we're talking about 18.75 all the way down to that 15.5 cent level. Now, this is looking forward to around the middle of July. If we extend this channel here or this trend line, you want to go out as far as, let's say, the middle of August, you could be looking at that 9 cent region again. And I'll tell you what, if we get XLM back down to 9 cents, I am a heavy buyer at XLM because fundamentally nothing has changed. In fact, it's gotten better. Take a look at this. As mentioned before, this is from All In Crypto on X. The Genius Act is close to becoming law. Which network will dominate for stablecoin issuance within the U.S. economy? They list HBAR, XRP, XLM, and BNB. I would lean towards the XLM, XRP, and even throw Hedera in there. But I think XLM, people are sleeping on it. Everyone wants to talk about XRP. There's another X token, and that is XLM. Now, let's get back to the video. Again, this was posted by the Stellar Foundation. You can see about, 5-6 minutes ago? And so let's start this from the very beginning, and let's listen.
What we're seeing is that between a bit more regulatory certainty that we're seeing in the States and a lot of TradFi institutions coming into crypto, we're seeing that privacy is starting to get a lot of attention.
I think we built the foundational pieces of infrastructure that needed to be leveraged.
Whenever a wallet is looking for access, adding Stellar is kind of like a go-to, and then suddenly you realize, oh, there's all these other great things that are happening in this ecosystem that I can tap into now that I'm part of it.
for me, it was, we're going to make this happen, because you could see as soon as you travel, you see the absolute need for this technology. And I think for me, once I saw that, I was like, we can do this.
I 100% agree with Danielle there. Once you travel, and we talked about this on our live show actually this morning, which, by the way, we go live Monday through Friday at 10:30 a.m. Pacific. You should come check us out. Have a lot of fun there. But we just got, we operate a business here, and just got someone paid, a sponsor paid with PayPal, and I was charged a 70% or a $70 fee for a $1,500 transaction. It was quite ridiculous. And I asked for Stables, and they said, well, look, we got to pay PayPal. At the end of the day, the point I'm trying to make is the old system, even when you look at PayPal, some consider that the future, or it's futuristic, or it's forward-looking. It's really not. When you look at the fees you got to pay, it came from a country in Asia. I'm not going to say the country, but $70 for a $1,500 transaction. I mean, do the math in the chat. Let me know. Let me know in the comment section. What's the math on that percentage-wise? And so stablecoin payments are the future. And when you look at time to finality and cost, find me one better than XLM. And so that's just the point I wanted to make. And I do want to go back to this chart and kind of break down or dig into the daily price action here on XLM. Let me go ahead and clean up this chart a little bit. We'll get rid of the brush line we had here. We'll keep on some of our trend lines. I do have high volume points up here. One thing I will note, you guys, if price does start moving back to the upside, please keep an eye on this level here, which is 37.62 cents. We saw over 3 billion XLM tokens sold at this level. This was identified as a high volume point, and the big one is going to be at that 50-cent level where 7.6 billion XLM was sold. Now, unfortunately and fortunately, we had this head and shoulders pattern on XLM play out. As you can see here, it broke to the downside, retested that neckline once, twice, and had a spill off. But the good news here is, looks like we might be coming into a little bit of a inverse head and shoulders pattern. Now, we are at a critical state. Why do I say that? You know what? Actually, at the time of recording, at least, looking at the price action, unless this becomes a wick, we've gone deeper than the head, the potential head of this inverse, which was sitting at close, 22.85 cents. We're currently at 22.5 cents at the time of recording. Again, if this ends up being just a nasty wick and we close around, let's just say 23.16 or even 23.1 cents, this could in fact play into that inverse head and shoulders. But obviously, price action doesn't look great. I do want to take a peek. I want to bring up my RSI here and see if we're seeing any bullish divergence here on XLM with price action trending down, setting in lower lows. And you can see here what I'm looking at is this low relative to this was a low. And then the very next low we got the lower low on the RSI as well, hitting oversold territory on the daily. Now, the one benefit, or the one, I guess, light at the end of the tunnel here, if we don't get a reversion back to that 23-cent level and this thing continues to drop, if this RSI stays above, and I'll drop a horizontal here, if this RSI currently stays above this horizontal line, you could be looking at a bullish divergence on the daily time frame, which could take XLM back to the upside. But as you can see here, my friends, and it's not just XLM that we're picking on here, but this has just been the trend of altcoins, majority of altcoins over the last, 3 to 4 weeks, is falling channels, downtrends. You see, we had one here again. We broke to the upside, but couldn't get any momentum or follow through. Again, I'll be doing a more deeper price prediction on XLM sometime next week. So again, make sure you subscribe to the channel and come check out our live show Monday through Friday at 10:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Till the next one. Peace.